Today's Did You Know real estate number is 66. That's the average number of days a home spends on market across the United States. Welcome in. This is the First Time Keys podcast and your host, Adam McAllister. Thank you for being here. Thanks for making this part of your day. Always appreciate when you hit play. So thank you so much. Again, if you haven't done so yet, make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons. That helps everybody out, especially you, because then you get notified and dinged every time I post a new episode and all the hard work that goes into it. So thank you again for being here. I can't wait to share with you the conversation, the interview that's coming up here in just a few moments. So today's show, it's Brandon and Amber Overmiller. They purchased their home 2 years ago. And so they're going to be our guests today. They're going to be sharing their first time home buying experience and maybe giving me the best nickname. The best ego stroke I've ever been given comes out in this interview. So I'm excited to share it with you. Before we get into that, though, I wanted to hit a couple things. One, did something very foolish over the weekend. We were in downtown, we were in York, and we stopped by a benefit, and then we went next door to a local brewery. Like any town, our area has a number of great craft breweries. So we went into one that we're, very familiar with. And I'm a sucker for a hot dog. And I know how silly that may sound, but if there's like a food item that is like my guilty pleasure, ice cream, certainly. It's that way for a lot of people. But a really good, unique hot dog, you'll get me every single time. And so this particular craft brewery, Gift Horse is the name of it, in case you are familiar if you're coming to town. They make a foot long hot dog. Now, it's not just a foot long hot dog. Like, this is a hot dog that's almost like part sausage because it's got the snap. It's got that really good, meaty, spicy flavor with a little bit of snap. Not spicy like hot, spicy like you're getting invited to the barbecue spice. And it's excellent. And it's a foot long, and then with a foot long bun. And it's a heck of a hot dog. And then on top of that, they put basically every topping they have in the kitchen on top of this dog, which is like, oh, like I wanted the hot dog before, but you're going to now stuff the hot dog with all these great, mm, tasty morsels. Like, absolutely. But we're not done yet. I mean, yeah, the ketchup, the mustard, the relish, the chili sauce, the cheese. But we're talking an area that is an hour north of the Chesapeake Bay. In fact, I think probably, if measured, less than an hour north of the Chesapeake Bay, which, yes, our good friends from Baltimore, we know they love their crabs, but we love them just as much. So, what goes on top of this dog? You guessed it, fresh crab meat. Oh my God. Oh, if you want to be a fat kid at the buffet, just smiling ear to ear, my God, a foot long hot dog with the chili sauce, the cheese, the ketchup, the mustard, the relish, and then uh, diced onions, and then on top, the chef's kiss, the accoutrement is this fresh crab meat over top of the hot dog, and it came in weighing. They actually weighed this thing, and it came in at 1.7 pounds. That's right, nearly 2 pounds of hot dog. Neither ridiculous. Um, there's this whole thing for making America healthy again, but then we're making almost 2 pound hot dogs stuffed with crab meat and all this great stuff. And yes, I enjoyed every damn bite of that. And about halfway through, realized this was probably more of a challenge than what I initially thought. But I held up my end, and damn it, I finished it. And so there you go. Again, not the smartest choice, but every now and then in life, you got to YOLO. You got to, you only live once, and you got to take those opportunities. Now, you also have to, do your best to work them off, which is, by the way, my legs and my ass cheeks are sore from leg day. I don't know what I did, but my butt cheeks are more sore than my leg muscles from leg day. So apparently, I squatted wrong. I don't know what I did, but that's what's going on. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get into real estate. Let's get into the reason why you're here. The number at the top of the show, 66, the average number of days on market, which that's across the country. That's a country average number. Your area probably going to be different. I know ours is. So here in York County, the average number of days on market is 18 days, and across the border in Adams County in the Gettysburg, it's 13 days. So let's average them out and say 2 weeks. So the average home hits the market. It's on the market for 2 weeks before it goes under contract, which still in our area, I would call that a seller's market because the homes aren't sitting forever. In fact, was dealing with a home just last week. It was the first day on the market, lasted 2 days. We got it under contract. So again, if you're out there looking, you may see some numbers that you're like, oh, we got all sorts of time. It all depends on where you live. So keep those things in mind. It also comes down to the house and the price point. If it's a great house and a very popular price point, forget the average. It's going to be gone in less than a week. So you want to jump on those things. Welcome in. Thank you again for being here. We've got a fun interview for you. Brandon and Amber, they are going to be coming up here in just a moment. Let's get to that now. This is the First Time Keys podcast. So joining us today, past clients. In fact, they are coming up on their 2-year anniversary in just a couple weeks. So by the time this airs, they're going to be a couple days closer. So joining us today, please say hi and welcome in Brandon and Amber. Guys, how you guys doing?
Great. How are you?
We're doing fantastic. Thank you guys for taking some time out and joining us and getting a chance to reunite here.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure.
Very, very cool. All right. So not only are you coming up on your 2-year anniversary, Amber was also foolish enough to allow me to help her sister and her husband in getting their new place. So how are things going with aunthood and unclehood?
Fantastic. Nothing better than a fresh little baby to snuggle. So
Yeah, it's kind of interesting being on the flip side, kind of seeing, another set of new parents kind of take this on. I get to ask all the questions people ask me. Has it set in yet? Or have you accepted it? Are you sure it's yours?
yeah.
Things like that. So it's been fun.
Yeah, you always want to make sure that DNA test comes back correctly. I mean, being the generation that was raised on the Maury Povich show, I want to see that yellow envelope come out and you know what? It is mine.
Yeah, you are the father.
You are the father. That's right.
Sometimes just a quick glance can answer that question. With new freshly born babies, sometimes it's a little more difficult.
They are potatoes.
It's where life begins. So what's the if you had to take it from being parents to being aunt and uncle, what is that difference like?
You can give the baby back, and that is personally my favorite part.
Right. Now, do you ever try to say, yeah, here's your kid, and oh, by the way, here's mine as well?
Not yet. No, I'm going to give her a chance to kind of settle in where she's at, but that is in her future. Don't worry.
Yeah, I know. Especially when our son was born, shortly after we moved in, I remember how irate I would get when somebody would wake him from a sleep and then he would start fussing. So we haven't got to the point yet where I want to be like, hey, here's also our children.
And my sleepless child.
Yes. So I'll let them work through that for a little bit, but the day is coming and I am counting down.
Yes.
And the time is nigh. So,
you have to do it. I mean, you're going to take those breaks and go, you know what, what's one more, it's training for later.
I said maybe it'll plant that seed. Who knows?
Yeah,
Figuratively.
Oh my, I love it. So yeah, so you guys bought your home 2 years ago. In fact, it was the end of March 2023. So we're going to discuss, that home buying process for you guys, as first-time home buyers. But I first want to get into the beginning of you two. So I think it's always fun to kind of get everyone's origin story, in the world of Marvel. So how did Brandon and Amber come about? How did you guys end up canoodling together? How did this start?
How did we do that, Brandon?
Is this a test? Yeah, so I mean, oh man, this probably goes back all the way to 2013, where I was a young strapping lad working at ye old Planet Fitness. We know it, we love it. Yeah, so I was just working there. I just graduated high school. Just working the front desk, and it wasn't until probably, I don't know, I want to say 6 months in, maybe not even. Um, they hired a young woman who just so happened to, come in, and it was one of those situations where it was like the forbidden fruit, right?
Oh my
Like,
God.
I kind of see it. I'm like, not my normal type. I was
Choose your
fresh out
words
of high school. I was a
carefully.
football player.
Choose them
The
carefully.
cheerleaders was what I was after at the
Uh-huh.
time. So I see this young dyed hair, wearing like the band tees outside of work, and I'm like, oh, I feel like I shouldn't, but I kind of want to,
Oh my gosh.
And sure enough, I did not. I was actually way too much of a coward. No spine whatsoever. And it wasn't actually until many years later,
2022 to be exact.
yeah, funny that I just so happened to be like, you know what? I finally have worked up the nerve. It has only taken 9 years, but I have finally done it. Um, And yeah, so then we went on our first date to get some sushi. I didn't even think it was a date at the time. I thought we were still just, the bestest of friends.
He doesn't know how to
And
read a room.
not
Was
at
that?
all.
Look, I
Yeah.
mean, as guys, many of us do not. Like, I was watching a video. It was talking about subtleties and how to read the body language. And here's the deal: most guys, it's just blunt. Just tell us, because we
Yeah.
will miss all the signs.
Oh, I know that now. Trust me, I know that now.
Yeah.
Subtlety is out the window.
Yeah, looking back, it's almost embarrassing. I feel like anybody else in a normal situation would have been totally fine. I'm surprised she didn't just slap me and just tell me, like, hey, this is what's going on. Because I was totally just like, la 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 la. I knew
I'm
no
patient.
better.
I'm patient.
So, Amber, is that how you remember all this starting as well? Like, him eyeing you from the side and looking at you like this piece of forbidden fruit? Or were you like, hey,
Absolutely not.
what's the
He's
creepy dude behind the counter who keeps setting off the lunk alarms at Planet Fitness?
Yeah, I'm just like, who is this guy? He slid in my DMs. I'm like, oh, yeah, no, actually, I remember it pretty similarly. Less glances my way than what he's trying to insinuate happened, but
I'm very secretive.
we had a very, very strong friendship for a good 9 years before I finally was like, hey, let's actually do something. And here we are now, married.
In your own house, sharing a mortgage and kiddos.
And kiddos, yes.
Yeah. So how did we go from it took 9 years to go out on that first sushi date, which by the way, I'm hoping it was good sushi. It wasn't like
It was good enough that I got it. We got it tattooed on us. So
that's amazing.
Our matching tattoos.
So now we all have to know, what was the sushi? What are we looking at, like a California roll or tuna? Like what was the sushi?
Well, we went there for all you can eat sushi. They weren't serving it though, but we still did all you can eat sushi. We just paid the price for it. So that, I mean, there was salmon rolls, there was tuna rolls, there was all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I have it tattooed on my body, but I have no shame in admitting that at this sushi date, I had to pull out my phone and Google every single roll on the menu to make sure
Amateur.
that I wasn't going to be like, ew, icky.
Amateur.
You know.
All right. So do you know what the roll is though that's on your arms?
I believe it's a
That's
salmon.
that's a no. If you said it was I believe, the
It
answer
is
is I got no freaking clue.
it is a
I hope like
cartoon
hell it's
sushi
salmon.
roll.
Right?
So this was done by a man that said, I have 1 hour with no clients. What do you want?
What do you
So
Look, at least it's not like a prison tattoo. Somebody wasn't there with a guitar string and a pen and going, "Hey, this is what I can do."
I mean, fair. It's a step above that at least.
I love it. All right, so 9 years, you finally go for sushi, and you said this was 2022, so it's a year later. You guys are closing in on your first house.
Yes.
That's pretty quick timing. How do we go walk me through that time period, that jump from sushi to, hey, we got a mortgage?
well, you are right. It was indeed a breakneck pace. That being said, yeah. So it just so happens actually, when we first went on that date, I was living up in Carlisle at the time. Just finished an apprenticeship that I had been working on for a little over a year. And I had been trying to move back down here to York, closer to family. My mother had some medical issues, so I wanted to make sure that I was a little bit closer to home for that kind of thing. And this pretty young thing here started becoming more of a regular at my Carlisle apartment. And I just kind of I spitballed the idea. I was like, I'm gonna try and move back down to the area. What do you say we just kind of capitalize on this, And it was kind of crazy. I know that. I think she knows that too.
It was crazy.
But
when you know, you know.
Yeah. So we did that. And things happened. We know. And I want to say it was about a year and maybe actually just about a year. We found out that she was pregnant with our son.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out that a 2-bedroom apartment on the 3rd floor is not ideal for 2 children.
No.
Along with us and all of our things and cats and all that. So we, kind of began our home searching process, try to find something a little more spacious, something that we can, kind of look back on and kind of have some memories with the kids, especially,
Mm-hmm. Family life definitely was a driving factor.
Yeah, I mean, it's when it goes from just you two, and all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, there's going to be more of us, plus the animals. So why look at buying a home instead of just continuing or trying to find another spot to rent? Why was the focus on buying a home?
I can jump in here and put my opinion because we were spending $1,400 for a 3rd floor 2-bedroom apartment when we were talking to people who were spending $1,400 for a single family home with a backyard and a porch and a driveway and things to call their own. So I think hearing that, we were like, what the hell? Why are we still in this apartment?
Yeah. I mean, a few buddies of mine that I worked with in a different housing market, of course,
Right.
had mentioned that they and their family of their wife and their 5 children were living in a home that they paid $850 a month for a mortgage. And like I said, that was a different time, obviously, but just the fact that that was even like a possibility, I was like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. Renting is insane. It's insane.
Oh, it is. And that part really hasn't changed, even though mortgage rates have changed. But also in the last 5 years, as crazy as the home buying piece has become, renting has become even more expensive.
It's
To
ridiculous.
where they still kind of balance each other out, where it's like, if I'm going to rent, that rent could be $2,000 a month, or I could purchase and my mortgage could be $2,000 to $2,100 a month. So it really is still kind of a wash for most folks.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, when you have a home, you're building the equity, and that goes such a long way, especially like down the road. Say we want to get a different home, like going into it with the equity is going to be so much easier than our experience right off the bat of going into it with nothing. So I feel good about it. I feel good about our decision.
That's
Yeah,
important.
I do too. At least up until the moment that something doesn't work right, in which case I regret every decision I've ever made. Suddenly I would rather live in a cardboard box. A park bench, anything is better than this.
Oh my gosh, he's dramatic. He's dramatic. Don't listen to him.
I mean, it is the joys of homeownership. There's always bound to be something that will go wrong, that will need fixing. It is the difference between renting and owning a home. So you guys make the choice to start looking for homes to buy. Then one day you get connected to this idiot, and we get started. So what was your initial thoughts when we met and we got started into going, oh crap, there's no turning back. We're actually full bore, getting pre-approved. We've got this crazy guy named Adam, and we're actually out looking at homes. What was going through your mind at that point?
So yeah, I remember, looking at Zillow, everybody's favorite, real estate website. And when you put into request for more information on a home, it's kind of generic. It's just first, last name, phone number, email, that sort of thing. And that was what I had done, and I had gotten a few other phone calls prior, and just talking to some of those guys, like obviously you're interested in purchasing a home. You don't really know a whole lot about the process. So you're entirely letting it all into the hands of, these folks that you're talking to. And some of the other ones I talked to, like, you kind of want to talk to somebody who, sounds like they're confident in what they're doing. They maybe aren't just, I know whenever I talk on the phone to somebody new, I'm very much like, yeah, I don't know. Let me just check. And if I get that when I'm, looking into something as big as purchasing a home, that's a little bit of a concern for me. But I will tell you that I was driving home from my job and I received a call from Zillow. And I got the whole automated, like, oh, yeah, this is Zillow connecting you to your agent. And I was met with this booming voice, this audible chocolate, which I have now come to know as Adam McAllister, and just the confidence and the very audible pride in his work, was something that I was like, you know what, maybe this is all right. Maybe we're in good hands.
For the record, we were just talking about your sushi tattoo. From that, I will go get audible chocolate. That is going to be my next tattoo. That's going on. That's going to happen.
I'm calling that bluff, Adam. I want to see photos.
Yeah. Once my wife finds out and a few other of my closest friends, they're going to be like, oh my God, your ego we can't deal with this shit anymore. This is going to be it. But no, audible chocolate, that's a new one. I love it. Yeah. And 100% giving you every kudos and trademarks to that, Brandon. Yes.
I will pay for the tattoo if you wish to follow through.
Yeah.
Oh, we're in. You get the artist. We'll make this happen this weekend.
All right, perfect.
Oh man! All right, so we get connected, and obviously we find out that we're basically long lost family that hadn't met before,
100%.
Of course,
which was great. So, but again, you're just kind of listening to me, and I'm giving you advice and things to do. But again, this is all brand new for you guys. So what is that? Walk me through those emotions and kind of how you were feeling.
Overwhelmed.
Yeah, overwhelmed.
Stressed a little bit.
It's kind of one of those things where, no matter how promising a home looks or anything like that, like in the back of your mind, because it's such a big decision, I feel like there's always that that sort of, is this really what I want to do? Like, I can back out now, right? I don't need to do this.
It's a big commitment.
Yeah. Before I sign the papers, I probably don't even need a home. I never need a home. I just rent for the rest of my life. So yeah, there was a lot of that going on, especially just, with the stresses of her pregnancy, my sympathetic pregnancy. I was going through it probably just as much,
to him,
if not more than she
God,
was.
he's the worst.
Yeah, so just a lot of that, a lot of, I guess, timidness about the whole
Hmm.
process,
Yeah. You know, I at the time I was working in a loan department at the bank. So I went into it like, man, I'm an expert. That I'm not going to be scared of this at all. I know all the answers to every question I'm going to have ever about home loans. And I was wrong. I was so wrong. Like after the first day of looking at homes and talking about the process, I was like, I know nothing. I am admitting that now. I'm putting my life in the hands of Adam. So it was a lot.
It is it because you're hearing terms, you're dealing with stuff that you've never heard from before, or you might have come across it in passing, but now you're actually face to face with all these different things, and you're like, okay, what the hell am I doing? And
Yes.
and how do we get through this? So,
Mhm.
um, all right, so we hit this point. We're going out, we're looking at homes, and then we hit the home that is now your. We go to the house that is now your home, and but we get there in like the middle of the night
Mhm.
Yeah.
because it's pitch dark. We're talking winter time, so anytime after like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you need a flashlight.
Yep.
Um, and you guys have a very unique home
Mhm.
because it's actually, I don't know if it was actually registered on the historic site, but it's a home that's got some history in the
Mhm.
area that you're in. So let's talk more about your initial impression when we walked in the home and then that actual showing.
Do you want to take this
Oh,
one?
you're leaving this to me?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah. What was
man.
your initial
My
reaction?
initial reaction, we opened that door and I was hit directly in the face with the aroma of fresh baked cookies. Now there was nobody home, but the cookie aroma was
They knew what they
very
were
pungent.
doing. They knew what they were doing.
That was 100% intentional, I guarantee you. And it worked. We walked in, and aside from the aroma of the cookies, which was very hard to look past, just it was a very like you said, kind of like a unique home, like I've never personally seen a home quite like this. And I think a lot of that is just because, and I mean, it's kind of hard to find information on what this home used to be many, many years
Yeah.
ago. I
Mhm.
guess just because of the age. It was, I mean, built in 1902. And I believe it used to be a general store slash gas station.
Mhm.
So obviously, Al Gore and the internet was not big in 1902. So a little difficult to find some stuff there, but just the layout, much different than what I've ever seen before. And what the previous owners had done with it did a really good job of kind of showing, like what you can turn it
Mhm.
into.
The
Uh,
exposed stone walls is the first thing I saw walking in, and it just, I think that honestly is what I hung on to through the whole thing. Like just how pretty the main room is, the fireplace, the hardwood floors, and yeah, we were definitely swayed by how pretty it was at first.
yeah, there's a lot of natural elements in this home, which
Mhm.
is really cool, and you can tell that's just how it's been for a long time.
Mhm.
The stone is probably, like I would assume, not that I'm a construction guru, was the stone that has been there since the foundation of it, the building of
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
The natural wood in the initial area when you walk in looks very dated, looks cool, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, you know, Probably original, if not, maybe not. I don't know if it's 100% original, maybe a little bit later, but it's been there for a long time, and you can tell. So just kind of having that and seeing how well preserved it's been, and kind of getting to have that and also modernize it a little bit.
Mhm.
There was a lot of potential there that I think really got our attention because that was one thing we were really looking for when purchasing a home was the ability to kind of do our own thing with it.
Mhm.
Yeah, and your house has so much space to it. Like it's an old home, been through quite the decades. This is now, a century.
Mhm.
And like you said, all the exposed stone and the wood and the original wood floors, and there's just so much history there and so much character that to find your home elsewhere is almost impossible. So it has that uniqueness. And was that kind of as you were walking through, at what point did it hit you as we were doing the walkthrough of like, wait, I think this is our house. Like this is it.
The main room. The big main room with the big exposed wall, the fireplace, the wood stove sitting in front of it. I think that's when I knew. I think it took him a little bit more convincing, but I walked in and was like, no, yeah, this is the best one I've seen so far, and it's going to be hard to beat.
Yeah, I think a lot of it for me was, all of that. And then also, once we kind of ventured upstairs and being able to see, a room for our children, and the room that, we would get. I'm a little selfish when it comes to my space. It's a pretty nice sized room. It's where we are right now.
This is a large room, yeah.
A lot of room. I could do cartwheels if I wanted to. Not that I want to, but I could.
I think, look, if I'm going to get the tattoo, I think we're going to need to see you do a cartwheel.
You got to give them some time to practice.
Listen, man, I just got off a 12 hour.
Yeah, well, yeah. Take some time, stretch. We're getting older. I don't want to see you pull anything. Yeah.
I have hit the ripe age of 30 now, so I am officially ancient.
Oh my God.
Just wait. Just wait. So, all right. So it becomes the house. We write the contract. How nervous were you guys waiting for my call back to say, "Hey, we got the house"?
On a scale, on a scale of 1 to 10, I was probably somewhere in the range of 36. All I wanted to do was throw up. Yeah, a lot of that.
It was a lot of the anticipation was was very hard to get past.
Yeah, and I think also with how sort of aggressive the market was at the time, and that was all anybody was talking about, was how you put an offer in and you have to bid and bid and bid and bid, and eventually you just can't bid anymore. That was kind of, I think, what we were expecting. Now, I think we had a little bit of an edge because I think we actually scheduled this showing before there was even photos of the house online.
Right, we saw it the same day the photos went up, so that I think that helped us.
Yeah. And then I remember the morning of, the photos had gone up, and I was like, "Oh my goodness!"
Yeah,
like the photos made it look fantastic. Aside from a questionable paint job in one of the kids' rooms, but I'm gonna let that one go.
We fixed it. We don't talk about that anymore.
It's been addressed. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely think we had the edge there, but the feelings were still there. Last thing I wanted to do was put all of the effort into this and then just be like, well, I guess it didn't work out,
And all of the dreaming we were doing of like, oh, and this can be so-and-so's bedroom, and oh, we can do this with this room, and just seeing all that go out the window if somebody were to outbid us. I think that was heavy on our minds.
Yeah, I mean, I always know it's definitely the most stressful, like 24 to 48 hour period between when we put the contract in until I'm able to call you back to give you any news, because I'm waiting with bated breath just as much as you guys are waiting to hear from me.
Right.
So when we finally get the word, it's like that sense of relief that now, and because of the relationship that we have, and knowing, you guys are just as screwed up as I am, it was like, okay, so what can I do when I call you to mess with you, to let you know that we got the house, to help take some of that pressure off, and kind of be that pressure relief valve, so to speak. So,
and I will say, I was dealing with early pregnancy hormones, and you had me like on the edge of my seat. I'm like, I'm going to cry if Adam doesn't just tell me what's happening right now.
So more stressful, that time period waiting to hear from me, or the pregnancy?
Oh, well, I would say probably the time period waiting to hear from you. But then again, the pregnancy was also 9 months. So like that's a tough question, Adam.
I mean, ours was like a day. I mean, you're talking 9 months. I mean, which is just selfish on the baby.
Like, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
I tell him that every day.
Look, come on.
Correct. Yes.
Did he even think about me in that situation?
Yeah. Look, you're getting free food, free cable. Can you get mom something?
Come on.
Mom something. And poor Brandon, he's doing his sympathetic pregnancy, even going through a worse time.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I always, ladies, you always underestimate the pain and the struggle we go through with your pregnancy as we do the sympathetic. Yeah.
I have been trying to tell her that since.
Okay.
Yeah. Even till this day. I mean, even to this day, there's still feelings. Yes.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, you guys are still going through postpartum,
I
are
don't know if
you?
you can see it, but I have a gray patch
Right.
somewhere. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, you guys are the worst.
I love
Your poor wife, Adam.
Look, she knows what she married into. Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah. Everyone's like, oh, Angela, you poor thing. And I'm like, trust me, she's the quiet one, but I know she knows when and where to strike. Oh yeah. Yeah.
You
There's
got a
moments
good one then.
yeah, there's moments she's 100% Cobra Kai. There's no mercy, strike first, strike fast. Yeah. Oh yeah, she's there. Yeah, don't let her fool you.
Good. Good.
Oh man. All right, so we get through everything. We finally get through inspections. We're dealing with a little bit of title and deed issue because of the uniqueness of the property
Mhm.
that's there. Because and refresh my memory, was it the electric company or gas company that had like an easement on your home, on your property with a little barn or little shed?
So I believe that was a result of the fact that there used to be gas pumps because, um, and there was a lot of paperwork I had to read through here, but I believe at some point there was some kind of leak
Mhm.
in one of the fuel tanks underground or something like that.
Mhm.
And so they have, like you said, a little shed out back that quarterly people come out and they run some tests. They spend a day or two out here, um, just checking the water and soil, making sure that nothing is unhealthy. With it being a well system, the quality of the water is very important. Um, so we get a report from them every quarter, just letting us know if anything's out of spec or whatever. So far, nothing's been an issue. As a matter of fact, things have gotten better since we've been
Mhm.
here.
Mhm.
And we did get access to the older reports, and it's been nothing but an upward trend in a good way. Not upwards as in higher toxicity, but
That's a good thing. Yes.
yeah. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at with that.
Very cool. So we get through that piece of it there. We get to closing. You're now officially homeowners. What is that feeling like to go from where we started to now, wait a minute, that we now got a house?
Well, I can say for myself, and don't take this the wrong way, it was very
Mhm.
anticlimactic. Like, you go through all of this work, all these phone calls, emails, all these deadlines. Everybody's like, I need it now, 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 now. And you're like sweating to get all this out. You finally get it done. You get the keys, and then what? You show up, you open the door, and there's nothing.
Right.
Like,
Nobody else to
yeah.
hold your hand.
And then
Now it's all on you.
yeah, you get all this excitement. You're like, the house is mine. I can't wait to live in it. Record scratch. I have to get a U-Haul and start moving everything.
And guess who was pregnant and couldn't help? So that was all on this guy.
I moved in our entire apartment by
Mhm.
myself, with the exception of big ticket items like a table and a bed. Everything else was done by these small arms. Um, there was a lot of swearing, a lot of sweating, a lot of frustration. Couple quotes to moving companies that were just so outrageously high that I was like, absolutely not. I will do it myself. So 100% my fault, 100%. But in the end, it was very much worth it.
It was. It was. I feel like at closing, I went into it like, oh, finally a breath of fresh air. And he went into closing being like, great. Now it's the actual hardest part of all of this, the physical labor.
Yeah, really up to that point, it's just a lot of paper shuffling.
Yes.
And nowadays, because of how our systems work, it's really just a lot of clicking on your laptop or tapping on your phone to sign documents. But
Mhm.
then once you've actually signed and the house is yours, you got the keys, it's now, well, damn it, now I got to do physical labor. This is the
Mhm.
worst part of buying a home.
It is. It is.
Yeah, and I will say, if we ever find ourselves in a situation where we purchase another home, without a doubt, I do not care. I will empty my 401k, my savings accounts, everything I need, liquidate my assets. I will pay somebody else to move my things.
Hey, we pay somebody to help us with the home buying. Might as well pay somebody to help us with the moving. Just make it easy.
Very, very true. And I was just having this conversation with a guy I know who has local moving company. And he's like, hey, man, what do I got to do to get some business from you? And I'm like, well, here's the deal. A lot of my clients, like you guys, were first time home buyers. So a lot of them are still on the hey, let me call some buddies and it's, pizza and beer
Right.
to take care of the moving. And usually it's that second or third house when somebody's got themselves a little more established, the 401k is a little bit deeper, that they're
Mhm.
like, yeah, I'm moving. I'm not picking up a damn box. No, somebody else can do that. I remember what it was like the first time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and to go back to what you said, Brandon, that day there's a little bit of design anticlimacticism. Is that a word? Where it's
It is
designed
now.
really to be anticlimactic, because you really want that day to be as stress free and kind
Mhm.
of as boring as possible. Because when you have a settlement that is exciting, it usually means something went sideways and now it's oh shit mode. Now we got
Right.
to figure some stuff out.
Right.
Boring is good.
Yeah, boring is good. Yes, that's correct. All right, so you're now homeowners, all this good stuff. If you now that you look back 2 years later, if you could change anything, what would you change?
I think this is a question for you because you're the one that complains.
Oh my goodness. Phew, man, that is a tough one. Um, well, aside from, not moving anything and just paying somebody else to do it, I would 100% change that. Uh, I don't honestly have anything coming to mind right now. Do you have anything?
I feel like maybe not so much change, but something that I wish we would have known beforehand. Might have been like different things to look for. Going into the house, being like, oh, I can see my family living here is easy. But going into the house and saying, oh, I can see myself doing maintenance on this house, or the little things that he gets tied up on. Oh, what does the insulation look like? How is it going to be to heat this home? How is that kind of thing? I wish we would have known to dig a little deeper on that part and not just but how pretty will it be when we decorate for Christmas?
Right, yes. And because of the home you have, I mean, you've got a very unique home, which is kind of my next question for someone who's thinking about buying an older home, going, "Oh, I love the character, all the character that you can get in an old Victorian or an old style home." Those old homes come with their own bag of picadillos. So, what would be advice you'd give someone who's thinking about buying an older, aka historic home?
Uh,
Avoid asbestos.
that is a big one. Yeah.
It makes it so hard to work on anything on the exterior when you have to basically call professionals for everything.
Yeah, I mean, that was something because I walked through. I know I didn't have to, but when we had the inspector come out, I figured it would be good for me to kind of follow him around and see, what he's looking at, kind of get a feel for where I need to be looking because I have never had to do much more than go onto the renter's portal and put in a maintenance request and something like that. So, yeah, definitely advice I would give is kind of do your research, especially in an older home, because there's a lot of things that you don't think about that uh, may be more hazardous than you may think. Like she said, I believe when the inspector was here, he noticed that at least outside around the electric meter, some of the house was an addition. I would assume it's a little different, but around the electric meter, he noticed that there was some asbestos siding underneath there. And I mean, I think we all know those old if you or a loved one has been diagnosed with mesothelioma commercials. So things like that. Not so much an issue here, but other things like the older like lead paints. Asbestos is also not just in siding, but it used to be used in things like drywall and insulation. So just kind of knowing those things, not saying you need to avoid them, but at least look into it, kind of understand it a little bit. And if you're not sure, either call somebody or just go all out on the protective equipment, wear the respirators, things like that. Cause, better
You never
be,
know.
safe than, you're on those commercials,
Yeah,
you are the one
yeah.
getting the financial compensation,
Right.
you know, yeah. Um, that's probably the biggest one. Another big one that I can think of is old homes do tend to get drafty.
So drafty.
Yeah, every time I'll tell you, every time it gets windy here, the floorboard, I'm pretty sure I can feel like icicles forming on my toes. The actual air is fine. It is just my feet. I don't understand, you know. Um, so there's a lot there. You know, the basement was in the process of being finished when we purchased the home. Um, a couple spots that I still need to go back and kind of touch up on to make sure we're kind of, I guess, maximizing the efficiency in that area. Um, but yeah, draftiness in an old home's a big one. Those rim joists, the doorways, you know, the windows if they're not newer.
And that makes your electricity. I mean, if you have electric heating, it makes it go through the roof. So that's something to
Oh,
definitely think of beforehand going into it when you're making your budget.
yeah.
Yeah, that does. I mean, with and I was trying to remember what system you guys had there because you had the big wood stove there in the living room,
Mhm.
and then was it electric baseboard upstairs in the bedrooms?
Uh,
It's just,
yeah, so not baseboards, but heat pump uh, throughout the entire home.
mhm. And we actually don't use the wood stove because like chimneys are capped. It's just we would need to come get it serviced and we would need to change the flooring in front of it to yeah, it's what is it, linoleum laminate, the not
Yeah,
real wood in front of it, so we can't have that exposed. So I mean there's just a
Yeah.
lot of maintenance that has to be done to even get that to work, which again we didn't know when we first moved in. So
yeah. The homeowners insurance company has reached out a couple times. They called a lot beforehand, just asking their questions they have to do and stuff. Like, yeah, there's a wood stove. What's it like around the area, you know? And somebody came out and inspected shortly after we moved in. They said it was good, but then we did get notified a couple months later that they wanted us to, if we were going to use the wood stove, to use have a fireproof mat come out
mhm.
so far from the wood stove and stuff. I mean, we haven't really been using it anyway, like she said, because of those things, and also just children. Like it's very
Right.
easily accessible for the children, and that
Oh
is the
yeah.
last thing we need.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, because if I remember right, it's not an open wood stove. It's the old actual wood stove that's
Mhm.
steel on the front of it that, if the kid walked over and put their hand on it, it's instant burn for which I still have scars from when I was a kid and that happened.
Yep, yep,
So,
yep,
yeah.
that's the one.
Yep, that be it. All right. So what any updates, any things you guys have done to the home?
Um, I mean, nothing too crazy. Some paint jobs. I recently put up some storm doors so that way, we can have the door propped open, let some sunlight in,
Mhm.
when she's making dinner. Just have some of that natural light coming in, kind of lightening the area up a little bit. That is one thing. At least the living room area is very dark because there
Yeah.
is that big stone wall, and there is one window on the opposite corner from where all of the living happens.
Mhm.
So,
Right.
any bit of natural light we can get in there is greatly appreciated.
Mhm.
So, did that. There's definitely some other things that are not coming to mind
You
right now.
recaulked like almost everything in here. You did the dimmer switch on the living room. So just little projects. I think we're still trying to recover from the initial home buying kind of financial strike that it took that to do our bigger, like we want to redo the decks and we want to do a fence. Those are our next big ones.
Which are two big expenses. Those are two big
Yes.
expensive projects, especially fencing.
Yes.
I can't
Yes.
get over the price of what it costs to actually do fencing.
I know. And the permits that go into it, like it's a lot. That's a big project.
Oh yeah. Yep. So if you had to do it all over again, would this still be your house?
Me? Yes. I think his answer is different.
Listen, my only sort of hesitancy to say yes here is solely because, and I like to think of myself as a pretty handy guy. I mean, I do industrial maintenance for work, so literally tools all day, every day. Um, just the age of things and like the scarcity of some of these materials that you're looking for, like man, it is tough to find some of this stuff. Like, I'm not sure if you might recall the basement door that was in the living room. It's just that natural wood, not even a slab. It's almost like 2x6s that were just cut right off the tree out in the front yard.
Oh
Like
yeah.
Yeah, so like I've been looking into replacing that because the draft from the basement coming up, and like she's like, well, if you do, you have to color match, and I'm like, one step at a time. You know what I mean? Like she's very much for the aesthetics. I'm very much for the functionality. So oftentimes we compromise and we go solely for the
No,
aesthetics.
we don't. You stop
Yeah.
that. He's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I know, like, and I think I told you guys this story, but one of my rental properties that I have is a 1760s built log home in the city
Ooh.
of York. And it's literally log and chinking between. And
Mm,
it's been there for, at this point, 250 years. And this coming spring, summer, A, the roof needs to get replaced, and B, I need to get the outside redone. And that last one especially are just tough projects to get done because not everybody can do them.
right.
When they built this thing, none of those guys are around anymore to call on. None of them have an email address or a TikTok, so it
What
makes it
is
a
that
little more
about?
challenging. Yeah. But yeah, so getting a hold of good contractors that know how to do the work on older homes, definitely something you have to take into account when you're pursuing one.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Yeah, and I would say
um,
that 100% I recommend subscribing to This Old House on YouTube. Anybody in the prospect of purchasing an older home.
Listen, anybody that used to watch the DIY network is very, very familiar with this old house.
I can still remember watching that as a kid with my parents when there was
Mhm.
like six channels,
Yep.
and Sunday afternoons you're stuck watching Bob Vila. So yes.
Beautiful times. Good memories.
No, they weren't. No, no. It's a lot of childhood drama. There's a lot of reasons for therapy that go back to those days, but that's another show. It's part of the reason why I'm screwed up the way I am. So if you had someone you knew, almost like a relative that was going to be buying a home. Oh wait, they already did that. What advice, what words of wisdom did you give Morgan?
Well, my first one was call Adam. He will answer all your questions because she's asking me questions like I'm gonna know the answer. I'm like, girl, I don't know. Like, call Adam. But mainly I just told her like don't rush it. I obviously the idea of getting into a house that is yours is exciting and you want to get there as fast as possible, but like really take your time looking at the houses, really mull the decision over because it's a big commitment. And even if you're only going into it thinking that like, oh, this will be my house for 5 years, and I'll move on to the next thing, you never really know. And I mean, that's a big financial hit for you to take if you're just going to end up hating it in a year, right, Brandon?
Listen, hate is a strong word. I do not hate the home. I hate that I wasted my young years sleeping, taking naps, watching SpongeBob, and going to elementary school instead of investing in real estate
Fair
and
enough.
other things,
Fair
honing my
enough.
craft as a handyman. Yeah, I mean, other advice I could give, I guess, would be to obviously everybody, what your first look at a home, you're looking at well, the aesthetics of it, what it looks like. Do I even want to go look at this? Do I think it looks nice? You also have to kind of consider, like unless you are just richy rich, you got money like that, you are going to be doing some work on this
Mhm.
house, and even if, especially if you don't know how to do some of it, uh, kind of understanding like, is this something that I'm going to be capable of doing? Like, is
Mhm.
this like there's kind of, I think, very basic things that even people who maybe aren't as experienced can look at and be like, this is out of my wheelhouse, or just, real kind of simple things to look for. A best example I can give you is, say you look at your shower, and behind your shower, is there like an access panel to shut off the water so you can do any work on that? Things like that. Yeah, that's my kind of my thing is just, does it look good? Sure. Is it reasonable for you to work on or learn how to work on it?
That's a good one.
It's been a big thing for me. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, if you're approved for a certain amount for a loan, that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to get a house that is that full amount. If you can get something that has all of your needs for $100,000 less, by all means, go for it, because save money where you can, especially if you're doing work on the house.
Yeah. That's super, super important.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. All right. So before we wrap this up, you guys, last words, anything you want to share with another first-time home buyer, you want to share with me, anything at all? The floor is yours.
I mean, just enjoy the experience, especially if you have Adam as your realtor. It is going to be fine, and make it as fun as possible, because, you only get to do it so often. So,
Yeah, and we haven't been able to really capitalize on this yet, but when the opportunity presents itself, make sure you hit up that dumpster fire party, And we've just so happens as newer parents, kids get in the way of things quite a bit.
in the best way possible.
But we will get there eventually. I just don't know when.
I'm looking forward to seeing it. And again, I just put the peanut butter bone down for the dog to stay nice and quiet while we record the podcast. If we need duct tape, anything at all to help keep the kids quiet, while we're, here having a good time, we are happy to assist at all times.
We'll try the peanut butter bones first. That sounds pretty promising.
She loves them. Yeah. I can tell you, 3.5-year-old boxer, she's 100% on for the peanut butter bones. Yes. Oh my God. Well, thank you guys for everything. I really appreciate you taking some time out this afternoon. And again, just thank you for always being you.
What we do best.
100% sincerity. I love you guys. And we'll let them go for now, and we'll be right back to wrap this up. This is the First Time Keys podcast. Thank you so much for hanging in there. I know that interview went long, but I really hope you had as much fun listening to the interview as we had doing the interview. We talked about it before on this show. And I say, real estate, yes, we sell homes and we help people buy and sell properties. But at the end of the day, this is a people business. And if you form those connections, those relationships that Brandon and Amber and I have, it just makes the home buying process so much more fun and a lot easier, because you're still going to have speed bumps, but you're hopefully going to avoid any brick walls. And so having that great relationship with your agent, with your mortgage company, with everyone who's connected to the home buying process, man, when you're vibing together, it makes it fun. And so if you're ready to get started and you want to feel that same energy, have that same experience that Brandon and Amber and I had, reach out to me. Send me a message. I'd love to get you started on your home buying journey. And even if it's outside of my area, remember, I have connections to thousands of agents all across the country. And I'd love to interview them for you, so you have that same relationship and that same type of experience. So again, thank you for hanging out with us today. Thank you. I know we went long, but I really hope you had some fun with that interview and you got a chance to meet Brandon and Amber, and you like them as well. Don't forget, episode number 12, The Dirty Dozen, is coming up next week. We'll be talking with Wendy Landis. She is a 30-year plus loan officer with CMG Financial, and she will be going over all of the different types of first-time home buyer programs that are out there. It's a big episode. You don't want to miss it. If you've been wondering, hey, what first-time home buyer programs are out there, your Uncle Adam's got you covered. Wendy's going to be going over those with you next week. All right? Be good. Thank you again, and I'll see you right back here next week on the First Time Keys podcast. See ya.